Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning. Good morning, kings and queens of the land. Good morning. Good morning, uh, the liberated zones of Africa, beginning of us under the leadership of President Ibrahim Traore, Mali under the leadership of President Asim Goita, Niger under the leadership of President uh, Abdurrahman Tian. Good morning to the liberated zone in South Africa, KZN, under the leadership of the MK Party, under the leadership of President Jacob Gedleyihlekisa Zuma. Good morning. Good morning, Africans. Today I want to talk about the speech that the CIC Julius Malema made against the unity of black people. Yesterday, he made a speech yesterday at the Provincial in Limpopo, at the Provincial, what we call, it's a dry run for the conference. Basically, it's checking uh, whether those people who are delegates for the conference are actually they do exist, to see if they do exist, then they are gonna come. So, President, the CIC of the EFF, President Julius Malema, was speaking in that event. But before I want to share. Before we get to that issue, on a sad news, on a lighter note, on a sad news, Zimbabwe to compensate white farmers. Zimbabwe to compensate white farmers uh, for the farms that they lost 20 years ago. Quite a lot of money that Zimbabwe has. Want to compensate. Very sad story for the Zimbabwean people. Um, One of my regulars, Mr. Hencon, once asked me that if Zimbabwe was not a liberated zone. Zimbabwe is not a liberated zone in Africa. No zone in the British Empire is liberated as things stand at the moment. There's no zone except the KwaZulu Natal zone. There's nowhere where in the British colony, there's no single country which is under the British colony, which is at the moment liberated from their colonizers. All the countries which are liberated are it's only 3 countries which are liberated, fully liberated, which are in the Sahel region: Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger. Those are the only countries which are liberated, and they are under the French colony. South Africa is not yet fully liberated. It's only partly liberated by the MK Party, KwaZulu Natal. But before I go into depth about that, maybe let me just read the Zimbabwean farmer story. so that you can know how sad. Harare, Zimbabwe says it will compensate local and foreign white farmers who lost land and property more than 20 years ago in farm seizures meant to redress some of the wrongs that of colonization. About 4,000 farmers lost their homes and swatches and land when the black majority country's then President Robert Mugabe launched uh, the often chaotic redistribution program in 2000, which turned violent at times. Mugabe, who died in 2019, said it was aimed at addressing the colonial era land inequalities after the southern African nation gained independence in 1980. So they know Zimbabwe is part of South Africa. The finance minister Mtuli Ngube announced on Wednesday at a meeting with diplomats that his government approved 441 applications for compensation worth $351.6 million from local white farmers in 94 applications and 94 applications from foreigners worth $196 million. If you want to calculate in South African rands, terrible. But the government of Zimbabwe will only pay 3.5 million, uh, 1% of the amount, $1 million, which is 1% of the amount, and the balance will be paid through government bonds. When they talk about government bonds, they talk about creating debt for citizens. Government bonds means the citizens will pay it. It will be on the cost of the citizen. The government of Mnangagwa will only pay 1%, and then the rest will go to government bonds. When it goes to government bonds, it means the investor will be paid double. They will be paid the amount that they will be depositing. They will be paid a yearly or a monthly income, which will be agreed. And at the end of the agreed period of the bond, they will pay a full amount of the bond to the white people, the richer getting richer and the Zimbabweans getting poorer and poorer. Very sad story there in Zimbabwe, Africa regressing, the white farmers getting their land back and getting the money. They're not only getting their land, they will also be compensated. They will get the land and also be compensated. Uh, I just wanted to share this before. I hope that South Africa can take a.
Welcome to Candid Africa, truthful and unapologetic.
No sound in the video. It means it's censored. This is a censored video. No sound in the video. It's okay. I will let me just change that what I wanted to share. If there's no sound in the video, it means YouTube does not want you to hear what is in this video, because it is very powerful what is in this video. So YouTube does not want. Thank you very much, Queen Precious, for alerting us there that there was no sound. I'll quickly. I will just directly go to the story actually, which I wanted to share. The a little patience.
Which one? Mallet's patience DMA.
Please let me know if you can hear the sound there.
Present with 34 apologies. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you very much, Mwaledi. Amanda! Makalina Maka! Let's welcome the President of
Mandla. Thank you very much, Provincial Chair, the Provincial Secretary, and all the officials who are here today. And let me thank the delegates from all regions and branches.
Okay, so that other video has been censored. It's not allowed to be played. We are not allowed to share that one. It talks about how Ibrahim Traore and how South Africa should learn from what Ibrahim Traore has done there. So, but then this is censored. This is we rely on the platform of white people to tell our stories. So some of the stories they don't allow us to tell because it will awaken a lot of black people. So let me address the issue of President Julius Malema speech.
Of the EFF. Let me salute members of the media who are here and for their patience as well, because we started a bit late. We are not going to waste a lot of time today, especially from my side, because we are going to speak to you on the 13th of December at the National People's Assembly. Commissar's leadership of the province, which is here with us today, and delegates to the Third National People's Assembly, I greet you all today in the name of economic freedom in our lifetime. We have gathered you here today to conduct a dry run for our National People's Assembly and to determine whether indeed the delegates which have been elected in the branch People's Assemblies and branch General Assemblies are people we can touch and feel and are people we can see. Each and every one of you hold a massive responsibility as you have been entrusted with a mandate by your branches who represent communities at a ward-based level to advance the challenges, needs, and aspirations of the people who reside where you come from. Fighters, as you are seated here today, you have a duty to be responsible with the power that has been delegated to you by the branches. As you are seated in this Provincial General Assembly, you have the responsibility to be disciplined and participate in the discussions around the discussion documents and the plan of action for the EFF in your province over the next 5 years. As a delegate of the EFF, you have a duty to reflect on the leadership question. And in your reflection, you must be incorruptible. It is your responsibility as a delegate to defend the movement from foreign tendencies, such as the use of money for the leadership contest and the influence of external forces in the National People's Assembly of the EFF. Delegates, you are the shield that will protect the integrity of the EFF and defend the people's movement from infiltration. It is you who must tell us of the misuse of organizational resources to pursue a selfish, narrow, and factional interest. It is you who must guard against the quarantine of delegates in places which are not approved by the EFF, and the use of transport that does not belong to the EFF to transport you as delegates. Fighters, you must not allow the power that you hold on behalf of the people to be purchased by individuals who are seeking election and or who are promoting anarchy in the National People's Assembly. Your primary responsibility is that you must maintain the discipline of the movement. Delegates, we take this opportunity to remind you that the following will constitute a wrongful lobbying practices: raising and using funds and other resources to campaign for elections, distributing money to EFF members and structures as part of a campaign for leadership election, production of t-shirts, posters, and other paraphernalia to promote a particular list of candidates, promising positions or other incentives or threatening to withhold such as a means of gaining support, using the media to promote a particular list of candidates and to spread malicious rumors, falsehoods, or allegations against those with whom you disagree, leaking confidential information to the media, secret interaction with journalists with the intention to get them to write stories on internal organizational issues and communicating internal decisions, or processes to the media without due authorization. Negative campaigning which relate to the attacks of the integrity of other comrades, both within the structures of the movement and in other forums. Suppressing honest and legitimate debate about the caliber of candidate in a formal meetings of the movement. Allowing structures or individuals to condone violation of constitutional provisions and or regulations and or failing to report such violations when they occur. Using the offices, resources, and staff of the EFF or any state institution or company as a machinery to promote a particular list of candidates. Using violence, intimidation, threats to coerce and force those who hold a different view. Setting up structures outside organization to promote or lobby for a particular candidate. Convening meetings to discuss leadership issues under the false pretext that they are organized constitutional structures. Production and distribution of documents and pamphlets not approved by structures of the organization will not be allowed. You cannot use social media such as Facebook, WhatsApp and WhatsApp groups or Twitter to negatively attack others. EFF members nominated for leadership positions in the CCT must actively and vehemently discourage anyone from using their names to campaign for leadership position. If you keep quiet when your name is used to divide and undermine the integrity of our organization, your name shall be disqualified from contesting for any position in the organization. When people do wrong things in your name, you must be able to stand up and say, "Not in my name." No EFF from the CCT or PCT is permitted to create the perception that their lobbying is a decision of the upper structures. structures and members of organization have a right to raise their views. No one must come and impose a list and say democratic centralism says this is what we must do. Now is the time for branches to speak and not the upper structures. Lobbying shall stop once the process of electing the new CCT has been concluded at the Third National People's Assembly. Once the new CCT is elected, it becomes the duty of all EFF members to unite and rally behind the newly elected leadership, regardless of the preference the delegates had before the elections. We urge you to remain loyal only to the National People's Assembly guidelines, the Constitution of the EFF, the Code of Revolutionary Discipline, and the EFF Founding Manifesto. Do not be loyal to the Code of Conduct and Constitution of the faction, because you will have to choose between the Constitution of the faction and the Constitution of the EFF. And the EFF Constitution will always win over individuals. If anyone tries to make you conduct yourself outside of these revolutionary documents, then it is your revolutionary responsibility to report such individuals. A delegate of the EFF is not silent in the face of corruption. A delegate of the EFF does not look away when they sense the movement is about to be compromised or be put in a disrepute. Fellow fighters, as a delegate of the EFF, you are expected to be loyal to our Constitution. And our Constitution demands of us in Section 6, subsection 7b, loyalty means that at all times, members and leaders will not keep quiet when the organization is unfairly criticized and attacked in private and in public. Loyalty to the organization means that members will remain active members even when removed from positions of responsibility or deployments. Loyalty means that members of the organization will not join in the opposition and opponent forces who unfairly criticize the organization and its leadership. It is for this reason that you as delegate must be vigilant and loyal and never allow enemy forces to coerce you into unfairly criticize the organization or its leadership. Delegates, this means that when the organization or its leaders are unfairly attacked in public or in private, it is your duty to stand up and defend the revolution, because this movement and its leadership are the custodian of the revolution. Fighters, the fact that we are heading to the Third National People's Assembly does not mean that we no longer have leadership, that anarchy must prevail. Until the Electoral Committee dissolves the Central Command team at the National People's Assembly, this organization remains led, and this leadership will guide you throughout this process alongside your provincial leaders. Fighters, when we say that you must not unfairly criticize the leadership, we are not saying do not engage in constructive criticism, because our Constitution allows this. Section 6, subsection 5 of the Constitution speaks to constructive criticism and self-criticism, and it reads as follows. From time to time, members and structures of the EFF should engage in constructive criticism and self-criticism, meaning they should openly, honestly review the work they do and avoid all forms of boastfulness and self-glorification over minor achievements. The People's Assembly, CCT, PCT, RCT, BCT, deployed cadres and members should periodically review the work they are doing against their own set targets. They should always ask whether they have taken the correct decisions, whether they have achieved what they intended to achieve within the time periods they decided upon. Fellow fighters, none of you must therefore feel like you are censored from reflecting and engaging in constructive criticism, Because when you are critiquing this organization, you are critiquing yourself because you are the organization. The discussion documents of the Third National People's Assembly are part and parcel of this collective constructive criticism and self-criticism, especially in the organizational character and redesign document. And it is this discussion document, amongst many others, which should inform your discussions here today. There are many critical questions which you must reflect on, such as the reorganization of regional structures into sub-regional structures. We must ask ourselves a question without being factional as to whether regional structures are relevant or not. What is the immediate role of the regional structure? To leave the EFF and you don't report that counter-revolutionary remark.
Okay, I wanted to share exactly at the point where he talks about no unity. It's like this thing is not, the internet is not on my side. Let me remove the video. Let me just talk about it. And President Julius Malema, the CIC, says that the unity that President Zuma is talking about.
Be regarded as one of our own. To be among the masses and fail to conduct propaganda and agitation or speak at a meeting or conduct investigation and inquire amongst them, and instead to be indifferent to them and show no concern for their well-being, forgetting that one is a communist and behaving as if one were an ordinary non-communist. It's a reactionary view. To see someone harming the interest of the masses and yet not feel any problem or dissuade or stop him or reason with him, but allow him to continue doing wrong to the community. To work half-heartedly without definite plan or direction. To work perfectionary and muddle along. So long as one remains a monk, one goes tolling the bell. This is a ninth type of a tendency that is unacceptable. To regard oneself as having rendered great service to the revolution. To pride oneself on being a veteran. To disdain minor assignments while being quite unequivocal to major tasks. To be slipshod in work and slack in study. When we say to you, you must go to school, and you refuse to go to school and yet regard yourself as a revolutionary can never hate education. There is no need to remind us that you are a veteran of the EFF. There is no need to remind us that you started with the EFF in 2013. Your own performance and conduct in the organization will speak for you. You are speaking about it and overemphasizing it because you want to impose yourself on us. To be aware of one's own mistakes and yet make no attempt to correct them. Taking a liberal attitude towards oneself. As Marxists and Leninists, and as students of Fanon, let us engage frankly and remain revolutionary and avoid liberalism at all costs. Fighters, the time is now to take a stand. You cannot be neutral at a point when your organization needs you the most. The time is now to stand up and say, not in our names. The time is now that no old man with no track record of doing good to black people can claim that he can unite black people. Only the EFF has demonstrated that it has got capacity to unite black people. Only the EFF has got a track record of 11 years of unbroken struggle, fighting for the interest of the black people.
Exactly. This is what I wanted to share. I wanted to share the video up to that point where he says, no old man can claim to unite black people. No old man in South Africa can claim to unite black people. If unity is not happening under me, then there will be no unity for black people. EFF should defend itself from those who call themselves unity champions. It's actually what the CIC President Julius Malema is saying about the unity of black people in South Africa. Uh, I want to uh, raise some few things. People get stuck in intellectual debates. Uh, Normally, their arguments or his argument is President Zuma has been given a chance. A lot of people, their arguments is President Zuma was a president for 9 years and he did not do anything. He did not call for unity of black people during the time when he was a state president. So let's say this is a fact. Let's say President Zuma did not call for black unity at the time when he was president. And let's say President Zuma did not, for argument's sake, did not do anything for black people when he was president himself. But now, uh, President Zuma at the moment is calling for black unity. He did not call for black unity in 2009. He's calling for black unity now in 2024. But in actual fact, he did call for black unity since he started as the president of the ANC. So let's say he did not call for black unity in 2009, but in 2024, he calls for black people to unite. Why are you against it? Are you against it because he refused to, or because he did not call for it in 2009? Or are you refusing black unity because it will not help black people? Many get stuck in intellectual debates. When I say people, they get stuck in intellectual debates, it's people who have learned how to present facts, but facts that keeps them stuck in the same place. Let's say it is a fact that President Zuma did not call for unity in 2009. Let's say that is a fact. But because President Zuma did not call for unity in 2009, then when he calls for unity in 2024, then we should not unite because he did not do it in 2009. Was he supposed to do it in 2009? Who said he should do it in 2009? What we are looking for is the unity of black people. It's not stuck mentality kind of syndrome. The education that the colonial education that we have received in South Africa. Remember, the only thing this education teaches us is just to remember things. It does not uh, teach us to be creative and find solution around ourselves. How they determine if you are an intellectual? They ask you when they tell you when Jan van Riebeeck arrived in South Africa in 1652. Next week, the teacher comes and asks you when did Jan van Riebeeck arrive in South Africa. If you say 1652, you are an intelligent child. That's the measure of what is an intelligent argument in South Africa. Remembering, if you can remember what they told you, then you are an intellectual. So getting stuck in those kind of debates is where the CIC is stuck. He says he is in his ego. He's saying if the unity does not happen under him, it should not happen. Unity should only happen under the EFF. And if not under the EFF, the unity of black people cannot happen. Uh, the CIC once said that if any organization came which was more relevant than the EFF, he would close the EFF. The EFF would go, it would just go to farming. But now there's a call for unity of black people. He is refusing the call for unity of black people. Let's look at the track record of the CIC. The CIC has been in and out of courts for minor issues. It's been in court for sounding a gun in a conference, which was basically for children, childish. Uh, he got, he went to court for fighting with some white people in the funeral of Winnie Mandela. He has never been to court for expropriating land without compensation. Uh, the CIC is a member of Inanda Club, a club which is something. It's in something. You pay a monthly subscription. It's like those are property acquiring network. The CIC is a member of Inanda Club, which is a white club. The Afrikaners and the British used to meet in that club to plan how to run the government. He's a member of that club. The CIC has been acquiring farms. He's been buying. He's never expropriated or occupied any land. The EFF itself, as an organization, has bought the offices in Johannesburg. So they have no history of trying to expropriate the land without compensation. And there's nowhere where they actually have confronted the white system because of that main issue that the EFF is supposed to be fighting for. Now President Zuma is calling for unity of black people. The CIC is rejecting the call for unity of black people, is rejecting the call that members of the EFF should unite with the members of the MK party to push the ideology of freeing black people from their colonial masters. He says if it does not happen under the EFF, it should not happen. The CIC has been given platforms in all their propaganda networks. It's been given platform in Cape Talk or the Cape Radio, in 702, in ENCA. The EFF is a strategic enemy of the DA. If they say something is a strategic enemy, it means it exists as your enemy, but it will help you to achieve your vision. So the EFF exists as a strategic enemy of the DA. That's how the DA view the EFF. That's why uh, at some stage the EFF gave its vote to the DA, because at some stage the same strategic enemy that appears to be an enemy does come to assist you. The ANC is a strategic enemy at the moment of the Democratic Alliance. The DA wants the ANC to exist, and the DA wants the EFF to exist, because those are the enemies which will assist the Democratic Alliance to achieve its goal by refusing the unity of black people, by keeping black people divided, by ensuring that President Zuma's call to unite black people is not achieved. Black people should not just clap hands when the leaders are talking. We should listen to exactly what they are saying, and whether what they are saying is going to benefit our struggle to liberate black people in South Africa. We should not clap hands when people say no unity for black people, because nobody says, I have never heard anybody saying that will not benefit black people. So why not put any other difference that you have against President Zuma or against the MK party to unite as black people and go and become a force in order to liberate ourselves from the enemy? Why refuse black unity if it's not for the fact that you've been compromised? If it's not for the fact that you are selling out people? So the CIC has been pulling now. Initially, has been quite about attacking President Zuma. Now it's like openly attacking President Zuma. The CIC have worked with the DA previously to remove President Zuma as the president of the republic. Now, again, he's working with white people to criticize the MK party and to criticize the black unity in South Africa. He's talking the same thing as what DA is talking. Unity for what? He's talking the same thing as what the apartheid and the colonial masters are saying about us. Black people who under the leadership of, and who are genuine, who are under the leadership of President Julius Malema, or the CIC Julius Malema, should realize that the CIC does not have the best interest of liberating black people in South Africa. Because if he had that, there's an opportunity now, which has been provided by President Zuma. He would jump into that opportunity without questions. So arguing whether, the thing is whether we like President Zuma or we don't. President Zuma is the one who is calling for black unity. Whether we wish it was somebody younger, of course, we would wish that it was somebody young. But it's not somebody younger who is calling for black unity. It's President Zuma. We need to get that fact straight away and understand. Whether we wish it was somebody from Limpopo, but it's not somebody from Limpopo, it's President Zuma from Kandla in KwaZulu-Natal. Anybody else that we wish could have done this, they did not do. Now, President Zuma is doing what we all wish it should happen. I have heard a lot of black leaders talking about if Africa could unite. The EFF is struggling to unite itself now towards the conference. How can the EFF be able to unite South Africa? The EFF have failed to unite black people since its existence. Now it has got 11 years in existence. Now people are voting against it, against the EFF, voting for other organization. It should ask itself, why is it declining in numbers instead of growing? What is wrong with the EFF? Those who are genuine within the EFF, who are not there for the positions, who are there for the liberation of black people, should realize that there won't be any liberation realized through the CIC Julius Malema. All the people should just cross the floor to the MK party and leave the CIC and his surrounding people who are now people, most probably those who are stuck there because of their salaries and because of their personal interest. I don't think it has got anything to do with the freedom of black people. Because if it has to do with freedom of black people, you are going to get a little bit restless when you are in the EFF. You should ask yourself, why are the leaders of the EFF moving, key leaders of the EFF moving from the EFF to the MK party? What is the reason they move from there to the other side? So I wanted to share today. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Today I wanted to share about that issue that the CIC has decided to openly go against black unity and to, in his own intellectual understanding, to openly start a fight with President Zuma because he thinks previously he defeated President Zuma. He says, I defeated President Zuma previously, but in reality, President Zuma cannot be defeated by Julius Malema. President Zuma was not defeated even by the white people. That's why President Zuma is still in the card. You cannot say you have defeated President Zuma while President Zuma is now has got an organization which is the third largest, officially so, the third largest organization in South Africa, and has overtaken your organization in just 6 months. You can't say you have defeated such a person. In just 6 months of existence, President Zuma taking over South Africa, the votes have been robbed. So you cannot compare the EFF and the MK party. The MK party is the liberation movement of the people. The EFF is the movement of the system, the one that makes people feel like they are represented, while in actual fact they have no representation. The aim of the EFF is to make black people feel like they are represented, not necessarily to represent black people. Why do black people have to feel like they are represented? It's because if they don't feel like they are represented, they will revolt against the white system. So when they feel like they are represented by somebody who is just waiting for the right moment for the revolution to start, then the black people will come down, and then time will go on and go on and go on. The leaders will get stuck in the arguments of the leaders. Um, uh, at the end of the day, you will see the leaders attending sports events until the next election. Nothing happens. What happens will be minor arguments among the politicians, set uh, uh, characters, staged characters. That's what I want to mean. These are actors in those parliament. The CIC pretending like is disagreeing with President Ramaphosa, while they are actually very close friends and stay in the same place and serve the same master. Pretending like they're enemies, while they're actually creating the enmity in front of our eyes, while in reality they are very close together. President Zuma has never been given an opportunity to even speak in the propaganda media. They refuse to play in ENCA. They have refused. Even today, the interview that they have done with President Zuma is not there. The SABC, the interview that they have done with President Zuma before the election, extract of that interview are removed, because President Zuma is the only real leader in Africa who will liberate black people. So I want to thank everybody, Mr. Nkosana Fulani, for joining and for always supporting Queen Precious. Thank you very much for always supporting the Royal Opinion. Click the like button and subscribe. If you are new in the Royal Opinion, click the like button and subscribe. This would be the end of our live stream. Salute the Royal Opinion. Much love for you.